Radio Grand Lac, votre radio.
Vos émissions préférées, elles sont toutes sur Radio Grand Lac.
Your English Weekly. Your English Weekly. La chronique 100% en anglais de Radio Grand Lac avec Sinead.
Hello, hello, and welcome back to Your English Weekly. Bonjour, chers auditeurs, et bienvenue à Your English Weekly, cette semaine sur le 92.1 FM, Radio Grand Lac. L'émission qui vous présente le meilleur de la langue, de la culture et un peu de divertissement en anglais. Donc, restez bien à l'écoute avec nous. Je suis votre animatrice Sinead et je suis ravie d'y être ici aujourd'hui avec vous. Vous pouvez nous trouver à Your English Workshop à Aix-les-Bains ou le Ravoir ou aujourd'hui à Technolac pour les entrepreneurs. N'oubliez pas, nos stages d'enfants primaires et collèges sont ouverts pour l'inscription. Donc, n'hésitez pas de visiter notre nouveau site www.yourlanguageworkshop.com. yourlanguageworkshop.com. Donc, aujourd'hui, nous avons un nouveau invité, Emma, qui va parler d'elle. Hello and good afternoon, lovely listeners, and welcome to Your English Weekly, the show that brings you the best of the English language between culture and entertainment. I'm your host, Sinead, and I'm happy and thrilled to be here with Emma on Your English Weekly on 92.1 Radio Grand Lac. So don't miss out. Stay here and let's find out more about Emma today and increase your English learning and an unforgettable experience with us here. Hello, Emma.
Hello.
So, Emma, you're here today with me to talk about yourself. And could you present yourself to our auditors today, Emma?
I'm Emma, native from Aix-les-Bains. Left 10 years ago to a company, an international company called Club Med, for 8 years as manager, and then worked in Paris as a coordinator, hotel coordinator at Accor Group.
Okay, so how did you get into this field or into this career that you did with Club Med?
I was speaking multiple languages, so they asked me if I could be a PR and a receptionist.
What is a PR?
Public relations.
Ah.
So if you have a guest that speaks a certain language, which is for me German, French, English or Russian, then you're in charge of his stay and his request for him to speak his language.
Okay, what was passionate about working for a company like Club Med?
Cultures, traveling. I got to go to 20 different countries.
20 different countries? Oh, and did you have to speak English in those 20 different countries?
Not always. I was in some countries in Africa, so French was the language, but other countries were specific in an English-speaking language, such as Republic Dominican.
Mm-hmm. And so when you finished working for Club Med, why did you finish working for Club Med if it was so passionate by traveling? I think you went to some amazing places like the Seychelles and
I did.
The Mauritius Islands, etc. So why did you leave Club Med?
Because it was not a stable way to settle in life. Club Med is great for a time, but then you need to settle and to find your ground. So,
okay. And did you learn a lot with Club Med?
I did. It was great. It was an amazing experience until I did my whole 20s over there. So I went worldwide, traveled a lot, met amazing people, and now came back to my native town.
Okay, so before we go on to your next career, which is very passionate too, onto your next job work you did, how would you have described yourself in 3 words? Or how would you describe 3 words what you did in Club Med?
Authentic, honest, and funny.
Okay, for Club Med, it's authentic, honest, and funny. No, that's for you.
That's me. Yeah. But me needed to be me in the company for me to stay.
Of course. And what was passionate about your work in Club Med other than the culture?
The meets.
The meets, when you got to meet people, you learned new things.
I got to travel to dance. I was dancing in the shows. I met loads of people, different cultures, and it was a melting pot. So it was great.
Now, can you explain to our listeners what a melting pot is?
A melting pot is a mix of different cultures in the same place.
In the same place. And do you have an anecdote you can share with us from Club Med that you had when you were there working?
I have many of them. We used to work shows a lot, like rehearsals. One time we had to rehearse until 3 a.m. and the next day at 8 a.m. we had to change shows because it didn't suit the director.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it happens.
Okay.
It's a fun fact.
It is a fun fact. And what was the most rewarding part of this career?
My elevation, I'd say. I started as a PR, a receptionist, and I ended up as a manager.
And I think you worked for their training center too?
I did. Then I got promoted in Paris and I had to go from a place to another to train the receptionist managers and their teams.
And their teams. So that was good, huh? So you already got into management at a young age. So now let's go on. I heard that you worked as a coordinator for the Olympics this year. Was that right?
I did. I was a hotel coordinator.
And what role did you play as a hotel coordinator?
So on site, I was in Marseille, which was a big city that held a few competitions. And I was in charge of the VIPs in the 2 biggest hotels of the city in order to welcome the VIPs from the FIFA, which is the organization in charge of the football competition, and their teams, their soccer teams, worldwide also. So we had to check their demands, what they needed. We had the Egyptians that were totally different from the Chileans. So it was great.
And did you come across many challenges during this time with the FIFA club?
Of course. We weren't prepared on a competition this big. So, of course, we have a few challenges that we didn't anticipate, but it was part of the job. So it was great.
Okay, fantastic. And can you describe the journey in the sport event sector before attending the competition? Did they have to eat special things? Did you have special requests? Were they very demanding? Tell us a bit. Give us a bit of the experience of living with these sportsmen.
No, so I had the chance to work as a hotel coordinator at the Rugby World Cup last year, like in 2023. So we were prepared on how the competition would be, the demands, the requests, and therefore we were able to anticipate few things, but not all of them, of course, because some cultures, they change a lot, their requests change a lot, and you need to be on site and to be prepared, and that was my role.
And so if someone wanted to follow in your footsteps, now do you understand what follow in your footsteps means?
I do.
Can you explain to the auditors?
How did I manage to go to this position?
Or so if somebody wanted to follow in your footsteps and wanted to take your job, what would you advise them?
I'd advise to start with a full course in hotel coordination. It took me 8 years to work and to understand the whole settlement of reception and public relations.
The setup of reception.
Of reception and public relations, which led me to this position afterwards. But I would have not been able to have my position if I had not had this background.
Yeah, and the experience you had from Club Med.
And Club Med is a great company for experience.
Of course, yeah. But I think every time we learn something, everything is a great experience. Okay, Emma. Well, all of that sounds just amazing. So now, if we can just have a few fun facts about you. So tell us, what is something that we could not imagine about you, Emma? What do you like to do? Give us a fun fact about yourself. Ooh, you weren't ready for that, were you?
No, not at all. I love horse riding. Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem like, but I love horse riding in Ireland. I never horse rided in France because it was different and it was something I used to do in Ireland. So it was great. As a fun fact, I don't know. I'm quite spontaneous, so I laugh on the jokes that comes to me, and I just being funny on the first one. But I actually don't have any fun facts to tell like right away.
Okay. And is there something that you learned about yourself through your work experiences?
Yeah. I actually am very organized in my work, which I'm not in my lifestyle. So this is quite funny. Mm-hmm. I tend to just do my things and go from a day to another without really planning anything. But in my job, I have to-do lists for morning, afternoons, for everything. So it's quite the two difference I have between my personal life and my professional life.
Okay, well, that sounds fantastic. Well, Emma, thank you for all of these different insights to your work. And I hope, listeners, you learned a few words like follow in the footsteps. What other words did we give, Emma? Do you remember?
Set up.
Set up. Anything else? Not that you can remember. But listeners, you can find this podcast on Radio Grand Lac on YouTube. So don't hesitate to build your vocabulary. And of course, we will transcript this podcast for you and put it on our website. Well, thank you, Emma, for joining me on the show today. And listeners, I hope you enjoyed listening to Emma and expanded your vocabulary. Join me next week, or join us next week. It may be me, it may be Klaus, it may be Sabrina. Who knows who's here from your English workshop? Every week for an engaging, enriching moment of learning English, your English Weekly tries to air just after Maxime for 15 minutes, providing the perfect dose of the language and culture. So don't miss out on our next guest next week. Tune back in for a new Your English Weekly and make your learning experience unforgettable. This week, after me on Radio Grand Lac, we have tonight at 5 p.m., 17h, 1h, une commune avec Jean-Pierre. Et vous allez découvrir son invité tout à l'heure. Ben écoutez, ça c'est tout pour nous aujourd'hui. On vous remercie d'y être resté avec nous sur le 92.1. On vous souhaite an excellent journey. Have a great day. Bye to you from us at you.
Your English Weekly. Your English Weekly. La chronique 100% en anglais de Radio Grand Lac avec Sinead.
Radio Grand Lac.